About a week or two ago, I was reading a letter, and people are always asking me, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do about the state of the country and it, particularly about the censorship that we are now seeing embraced by powerful people in this country, including the social media companies. So I said, well, I think a free speech movement has to begin along the lines of the Tea Party. Because the only way things are going to change is if the folks, the majority of Americans, get behind something. And right now, progressives have momentum, but they don't have the numbers. The numbers are still in the traditional precincts. But the organization is much better on the progressive side because they have the media. And so I just put that out there. I said I can't lead a movement, a free speech movement, because I have a news operation to run, which is worldwide now. And I just don't have time physically to do it. But if somebody does it, I'll help them out. And somebody has done it. And we will have the information for you. It's a pretty amazing story, I think, and could potentially change the entire direction of the United States of America. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. It's coming up after our hard news coverage, and we begin that with Super Bowl politics. Super Bowl politics. So this is a fascinating story, and again, you will get it nowhere else. The Super Bowl game is the one event now. There's only one left. The Oscars are gone. The Grammys are gone. There is no unifying event, not even the World Series in baseball, okay, except for the Super Bowl. Everybody in the country pays attention to that game, primarily because of the parties and the social gatherings, which will be muted this year because of COVID. But the Super Bowl cuts across politics. It cuts across all boundaries. And it is a unique slice of Americana. However, it is being politicized. USA Today is a newspaper that will not be in business much longer. It's run by the Gannett chain, which is a left-wing organization. At one time, USA Today was one of the most influential newspapers in the country. It is now barely hanging on, because it went so far left that traditional Americans, they're not going to read this anymore. One of the reporters, a woman named Nancy Armour, got an opportunity to ask Tom Brady a question on Zoom. I think I know what Zoom is, and here's how that went down. Go.
Shannon Sharpe said last week that he thinks that you probably would have gotten more criticism for your having the hat in the locker in 2015 for Trump had you been a black athlete, or basically that black athletes aren't given as much room to weigh in on political topics and topics that could be controversial. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are in response to that.
I'm not sure how to respond to hypothetical questions like that. I hope everyone can, we're in this position like I am to, again, try to be the best I could be every day as an athlete, as a player, as a person in my community, for my team and so forth. So, yeah, I'm not sure what else.
Now, I can read Mr. Brady's mind. He goes, that's one of the dumbest questions I have ever heard in my life. And it was asked just to provoke. I mean, can you imagine a woman saying, and I don't know whether Shannon Sharpe, he is a former football player, he's on TV. I don't know whether he said that black athletes aren't given as much room to weigh in on political topics. Does the name LeBron James mean anything? How about Colin Kaepernick? I mean, it's just absurd in the extreme. And the only reason that Mr. Brady was put in that position is because he had a hat in his locker, all right, a MAGA hat signed by President Trump. Now, Brady knows Trump because they play golf together on occasion, as hundreds of people do. But because Trump is so loathed by USA Today and 95% of the corporate media, that anybody with any association to Donald Trump is going to get it right between the eyes. And that's what Nancy Armour tried to do in a back channel way, injecting race absurdly. Now, I thought Brady handled it very, very well. If it were me, you know what I would have done. Are you kidding me, lady? With that question? And then I would have explained what it was designed to do, embarrass Brady, and how fallacious it was that black athletes don't have a forum for political views. I mean, do you live in Burma? Come on. But I wanted to bring that to your attention because the world of sports should be apolitical. Now, ESPN has destroyed, Disney has allowed ESPN to destroy the most powerful sports franchise in the world by being political. It's destroyed, all right? But it still happens. Now, ABC News, they weighed in on the Super Bowl in politics by saying, quote, Brady and Belichick, that's the New England Patriot coach that Brady used to work for, probably the greatest quarterback coach duo in the NFL, will forever be MAGA branded. Why? Why? Why is that even in play, ABC News? ESPN. As the nation's 46th president, Biden's sentimental view of athletics and his promise to steer the nation away from political division should put him in a position to repair the strained relationship between the White House and much of the sports world. It's just absurd. It's dishonest, but it happens all the time, everywhere, not just in sports. But because the Super Bowl is so prominent that these reporters use the game to hammer Trump. That's what they're doing. Okay. I have another comment on the Super Bowl and politics at the end. Joe Biden has granted an interview to the CBS reporter Norah O'Donnell because CBS is carrying the game. And I have some suggestions for Ms. O'Donnell, very respectfully. That's in the final thought. Now, have you ever heard of the Minnesota Freedom Fund? I bet you haven't. This is a really good story. So after the death of George Floyd, the Minnesota Freedom Fund popped up, all right? And more than 900,000 people have donated $30 million to the Freedom Fund. What's the money used for? To bail out protesters who have been imprisoned for destroying stuff or hurting people. Because that's the only way you get in prison. Now, Kamala Harris tweeted on June 1st, 2020, quote, if you're able to, chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. All right, that was Vice President Harris. She's all for the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Okay, so I would never give them a nickel, but if you do, I wouldn't think you were a bad person. Your sentiments may lie elsewhere. However, you should know this. One of the guys bailed out by the $30 million have been donated is named Thomas Mosley. Thomas Mosley. He's been arrested 3 times, okay? Number 1, October 15th, 2020, last year, police found a semi-automatic handgun in his waistband, along with 3 handguns, a shotgun, a semi-automatic rifle, as well as a panel for stopping bullets, a gas mask, and 50 bullets in his home. So he's arrested. All right, those are felonies, big-time felonies. All right. 2 months later, Mosley arrested again for rioting in Minneapolis. That means he was destroying stuff. In both cases, the Minnesota Freedom Fund bailed him out. It's 2 now. Now we have a 3rd just this week. Last week. He was arrested for possession of a controlled substance, pot, cocaine, mushrooms. All right, this is 3 times, and he had a gun. Possession of a firearm with him when he had the drugs on him. This is 3 times now. His bail, $250,000, because this guy has been such a problem in 6 months. Now, you may know that there is a congresswoman named Cori Bush from Missouri who is demanding that all legislators who called for decertifying the electoral vote be thrown out of Congress. Okay, of course, that's blatantly unconstitutional. It'll never happen. But that's what Cori Bush wants. All right? She's considered to be a member of the squad. So she wants to throw them out if they wouldn't certify or oppose certification of the electoral vote. They all have to be thrown out, not by voters, by Cori Bush. Okay, so who's backing this play? Could it be the Black Lives Matter global organization? Yes, yes, they're behind it. Somebody tell LeBron James and all the NBA and NFL players with Black Lives Matter on their helmets, on their uniforms, whatever. They're behind it. Black Lives Matter global organization. So they say that if you did not support the certification of the electoral vote, you're a racist. Quote, Black Lives Matter website. It is not enough to denounce the white supremacy behind the attack. We must remove its endorsers from Congress. That's why we're supporting Representative Cori Bush's resolution, which would investigate and expel the Republican members of Congress who attempted to overturn the election and incited a white supremacist attack. So the Capitol insurrection, invasion, is a white supremacist attack. Did you know that? Yeah, that's how it's been branded now. Okay? Now, some idiot had a Confederate flag. You'll remember that. That guy's going to go to prison. Not for the flag, for breaking into the Capitol. So, these jerks who did the damage at the Capitol, they allowed Black Lives Matter to open this door, which, of course, they gleefully did. Joe Biden signs immigration orders based on a lax immigration policy. So that's what the Democratic Party wants. The progressives want it. Joe Biden more than happy to have a lax border, lax enforcement of people coming to the United States illegally. Now, he won't use the word illegal. It's irregular migration. It's not illegal aliens anymore. No. It's irregular migration. And this is actually in the executive order. So here it is. Create a task force to reunify families, reunite children who were separated from their parents as they tried to sneak across the border. That's a good thing. No child should be separated from his or her parents ever. And I think that's fine. I'd do the same thing if I were president. The problem is when you reunite them, where do they go? What happens to them? It's not a kid's fault. Parents take them across the border and they're caught, and you can't keep adults and children in the same facility. Now, do you have family housing? Is that what should happen? I can't even tell you. It's so chaotic. And the point is that many of the smugglers use kids, not their own kids, to get into the country. And teenagers are used in human trafficking. So obviously they're not going to be with their parents. They're coming with criminals. And, I'm her uncle. Yeah. So this isn't what it seems. It's not what it seems. It's been propagandized by the dishonest media all day long. Now, the disassociation of the parents and the children started under Barack Obama, big time, because they had so many problems identifying who was a parent and who wasn't. It's not like they come in with birth certificates. That they separated the kids. Most of those kids are treated very humanely, but they're separated. So if the U.S. government can try to figure this out, it is not easy. I'm for that. Secondly, develop a strategy to address irregular migration across the southern border, create a humane asylum system. Okay. But Biden doesn't create any more asylum courts in his executive order. So what do we have? 50,000 people in Mexico waiting to file for asylum claims? We don't have the courts to process that. Can't be done. And that's the ruse. If you get here, if you set foot on our soil and you say, I want asylum, then you get to stay until your case is heard, which is 5 years from now. You see what the ruse is. And Biden's already announced he's going to pathway to citizenship all the undocumented already here. So if you're in Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador and Nicaragua, all those places, I got to get there. I got to get to the USA. Now, the mistake that people who oppose illegal immigration make is that they demonize the actual poor people trying to get a better life. That's not the way we should do this. This is wholly the fault of the federal government. There should be a wall on the southern border. Biden stopped it, okay? There should be deportations quickly. If you want to apply for asylum, you have to go to the U.S. Consul in your own country. All those Central American countries and South American countries have U.S. consuls, offices there in Tegucigalpa or San Salvador. That's where you apply. You don't trek across Mexico, show up in Texas or Arizona or New Mexico, say, I want asylum. No. So all of this could be solved, but the Democratic Party doesn't want to solve it because the more foreign nationals that come into the country, all right, most of them, when they get the power of the vote Democrat. My people did. When my people who were thrown off their land by the British Crown in County Cavan, when the two twin boys arrived from Galway, they were signed up when they were 18 to vote in the Democrat Party. That's the tradition, because the Democrats are the party of entitlement. We'll give you things. Republicans aren't that. Okay? So the more foreign nationals, the more dependent people on the government you can get, the more power you have. That's what this is all about. Not about humanitarian stuff. If it was about humanitarian stuff, this would be run in a much different way. Not chaos where people die, where coyotes make money, where people are abused. That's not humanitarian. Is there anything that addresses that in Biden's order? No. Okay? Finally, restore faith in our legal immigration system, promote integration of new Americans with a policy of integration and inclusion. More politically correct gibberish. Does Joe Biden know what he signed here? I doubt it. I mean, he's just being given things here. Sign this, Mr. President. Sign that, Mr. President. You think he's writing this stuff? He's not writing this. This is coming from the Obama people who want a flood of foreign nationals in here. Look at California. Look how that state, the largest in the union, has changed. Ronald Reagan was a two-term governor there. Republican conservative Ronald Reagan, two-term governor. Okay? Now, there isn't a Republican Party in the state. What's changed? Immigration. It's right there before anybody's eyes. That's what this is all about. And Biden is more than happy. Come on in. I'm not going to stop anybody. And if you get here, you're going to be an American citizen in 8 years. It's just unbelievable. And when Donald Trump took over as president, there were about 11 million illegals in here. When he left, there were 14.5 million. So with all of the strict measures that the Trump administration took to stop illegal immigration, it increased by about 4 million. And this is according to the Pew Research Center. Okay? Now, that happened because it was a flood. You remember these caravans, and it was organized. All right? Before 2016, it wasn't organized. It was just people coming, and the cartels would help them for money, all of that. But then these groups got involved with hundreds of thousands of dollars, organized people to come on up. So in 2016, according to the Customs and Border Patrol, there are 1,140 apprehensions on the southern border. They caught, okay? 2019, 2,354, okay? This is not in the ports of entry. This is in the countryside. So you could see that there was a surge. Now, the surge fell off once President Trump made the deal with Obrador. Now, remember, I told you that. I was the only one to report it. President Trump told the president of Mexico, we're going to designate the drug cartels as terror organizations. Therefore, we're going to be able to drone them and send special forces in to kill them. Obrador went, no, because the Mexican government is very dependent upon the drug cartels for the economy, for bribes, whatever it may be. So Trump said, okay, but you got to put the Mexican military on your southern border with Guatemala and on our northern border with the USA, which Obrador did. That slowed everything down. Now there's no deal because Trump's not there anymore. Now, as far as asylum is concerned, in 2016, the year Trump took office, there were 115,000 asylum requests, okay? When he left, there were 96,000, actually 97,000. So that went down because you couldn't stay in the United States. Donald Trump sent you to Mexico to wait for the asylum process. So it went down. Now, Biden's going to do away with that. It'll go up. So all in all, what's going to happen, and I tried to get a report on how much money it costs the American taxpayer just to deal with illegal immigration in this country. One organization says 135 billion, another says 54 billion. They don't know. But it is an enormous strain. But what's going to happen is you're going to have a surge of caravans again. You're going to have chaos on the border. That is going to hurt Joe Biden. That and the economy are the two things that could sink him in the midterms in 2022. Mark my words. So I got a letter from a BillO'Reilly.com concierge member named Richard Salazar Jr. He lives in Henderson, Nevada. He's the president and founder of Rich Communications. And he says, look, I would like to be involved in putting this free speech movement together. And Mr. Salazar joins us now from Nevada. So first of all, you're a patriot. Congratulations for getting involved. I have a series of simple questions because, as you know, I'm a simple man.
Sure.
What is your vision for the free speech movement?
So, Bill, we want to ensure that the protection for every American to speak freely is there. So basically, we want to cancel the cancel culture. Now, the goal for our movement is to promote political candidates who support free speech. We want to expose corporations who want to cancel out voices that they don't necessarily agree with. We want to organize peaceful protests and rallies wherever we need to in order to get our message out. And so our goal is to attract a minimum of 500,000 followers by the end of this year who are in support of our message. And hopefully by 2023, we have close to 10 million followers. Now, unfortunately, it's mostly right now, the far left progressive groups that are wanting to shut down free speech. And the problem with that is this small slice of the far left pie happens to own the loudest megaphones in this country. Now, they haven't always been this way, Bill. During the 60s, prior to my arrival on Earth, there was a free speech movement at UC Berkeley that demanded the right to demonstrate politically on campus.
Sure,
And
that was the Vietnam era, of course. And the ACLU have been very quiet. They built
That's
their
right.
whole organization on freedom of speech. Now, you have a pretty
That's right.
nifty logo already. Put the logo
Yeah.
up there. This caught my attention. Nice logo. How can individual Americans watching tonight, listening on the radio tonight, Richard, how can they participate in the free speech movement right now?
Sure. So here's where we are now, Bill. We're actually in the process, as we speak, of creating promotional videos. We've got some endorsements lined up. We're doing some website creation. We're going to be on the website. There'll be articles, there'll be podcasts, there'll be merchandise, and a lot more going on. And we're going to charge a $25 annual membership to be a part of that. And so we're also getting our social media in place, where we have a financial accountability team that we're putting in place. And we're doing that because we set up a GoFundMe account. It's called the Free Speech Movement 2021. The Free Speech Movement 2021. And our goal is to raise $100,000 within the next 30 days to help us cover our startup costs.
All
And
right, so
so,
that is the way to reach you through this GoFundMe thing. Do you have a website up and running yet that people can go to, or is that still in development?
so that's in development, but where people
Okay.
can go, if they want to reach out to us, they can go to the free speech movement at gmail.com. They can write us there, the free speech movement at gmail.com. And
Okay.
we'll reach out to them and we'll point them in the right direction as to how they can be a part.
All right, now I'm going to give you some advice, Richard.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, number one, can't have any hate stuff. Okay, just can't.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yep.
even though you believe in free speech and your whole organization is free speech movement, can't have defamation. You can't have Nancy Pelosi is this, or so-and-so is that, or Mark Zuckerberg is this. Can't do that, all right? You've got to keep it a fact-based display and a fact-based interaction with the people. Because once you get into the zone where you want to hurt somebody, all right, personally hurt them, then you're going to have all kinds of problems. That's not to say that once you get up and running, you can't say this company is doing this to inhibit free speech. You can. That's not hatred. That's reporting. So you need to put together a solid crew of ex-journalists or journalists that are working now in Nevada who can just see, all right, that everything is presented in a fact-based way, and that the vitriol that the far left and the progressives use is not used against you. The second thing is that you need to have a marketing plan. So we have you on because you're a concierge member of BillO'Reilly.com, and we know you're a good guy. But you need to get on Fox News. That's number one. That's the big one. You need to get on Limbaugh. You need to get on Newsmax, OAN, all of these organizations that they themselves are experiencing censorship, that they're being attacked. And you need to make them aware of your presence quickly. If you do that, you will reach your goal and then tenfold. Because I believe Americans are hungry for a free speech movement. They want to be part of it. $25 a year is certainly not. I mean, you know, I spend that on Girl Scout cookies. Yeah, it's not prohibitive. You're smart to keep it in the range. And if people want to help you with more, the GoFundMe opportunity is there. So does that make sense to you, the advice I've just given?
Absolutely, Bill. And we're going to run with that. And we've already had conversations with the people that are closely involved with us now that, our responsibility is to stay centered and to support everybody. You know, Bill, if for some reason Twitter decided to turn on Speaker Pelosi, well, we're going to be out there defending Speaker Pelosi.
There you go.
Just like we're going.
That's right.
Right. So, yeah.
Perfect. That's what you do. Now, when your marketing people approach the individual shows and tell them what you're doing, if anybody turns you down, then you come and tell me. So we'll put a little extra pressure on them that way. And I'll maybe have a private conversation or two. But I think you're going to do very well, Richard. Just be very methodical and disciplined. where, as I said, you're a patriot. You're absolutely a patriot. This is desperately needed, the free speech movement in the United States. And we'll check in with you, every few weeks to see how it's going, okay?
We appreciate the opportunity, Bill. Thank you so much.
Okay. Semper Fi, stay strong. Climate change. Now, Joe Biden is a big climate change guy. Everybody in his administration admits no matter what we do in the United States, no matter what kind of carbon tax we have, we knock out all the fossil fuel industry, no matter what we do, not going to really matter because Russia, China, and India don't cooperate. They all admit it. But the theory is if we do it, others will follow, and this will be good for the economy. I don't think it's going to be good for the economy, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to have clean energy. But somebody asked me the other day, well, if GM is going to stop making gas-driven automobiles in 2030, whenever it may be, and it's all going to be electric, who's going to provide the electric? The electric, who's going to provide that? And I went, I don't know. Maybe you put a windmill in the gas station? I don't know. Something to think about. Okay, so climate change, if you oppose it, you're a loon. You're a science denier if you oppose all of these measures to fight climate change. But now, the Biden administration is taking it one step further. If you oppose any policy to fight climate change, you are a racist. Roll it.
Climate change is a racial justice issue because it exacerbates the challenges in the communities that have been left behind. It goes after the very same communities that pollution has held back and racism has held back. And it's our opportunity to serve those communities, to elevate them.
Makes no sense at all. And that was Gina McCarthy, who is a national climate advisor. That makes no sense whatsoever. So the fossil fuel industry, if you go to Harris County, Houston, best example, employs many minorities, many. It's a huge industry in Texas, in East Texas and West Texas, the Midland area. Everybody knows that, except Gina. Gina doesn't know that because Gina thinks if you work in the fossil fuel industry and you're a minority, you're being persecuted somehow, even though the salaries are pretty darn good. So that makes no sense. But it doesn't have to make sense because all the Biden administration wants to do, and the Democratic Party and the media, is if you oppose all of these climate change orders, you're a racist. Because the marginalized groups, the blacks and Hispanics, and I don't know, the gays fit in, but I'm sure they do somehow, they're getting the worst of the climate change. And, it's hotter in their neighborhoods or something. I don't quite know what. So that is another ploy. You see, race now is everywhere for everything. And if you oppose progressive policies, you're a racist on everything. Easy play. And that shuts people up because they don't want to be called a racist. So I just want to review what progressives so far. See, Joe Biden has, 2 weeks for Joe? 2 weeks tomorrow? God, doesn't it seem a lot longer than that? Here's what they want free, all right? And Joe wants to give everybody free too. Free college, cancel all student debt. Medicare for all, that means everything's free. No deductibles, no copays, no premiums. No. I guess you would, in your paycheck, there'd have to be a Medicare tax, but Medicaid, no, so it's free. Housing, okay, vouchers available to all eligible families. Housing vouchers, so you get free house, free rent, okay? And the key word is eligible families. Those would be marginalized families, okay? And that would be the Fair Housing Act. Child care, pre-K, free for everybody. Don't have to pay anybody anymore. All right? Food security. So right now, 40 million Americans out of 330 million get nutritional assistance, food security. All right? So Biden wants to jack that way up. he's expanded benefits almost $1 trillion in food. Now, where are we going to get all this money to pay for everything that Biden wants to do? He has no blanket idea where we're going to get it. Biden doesn't know. He doesn't really care because he doesn't know that running up massive amount of debt is going to crash the American dollar. He doesn't know. Now, the progressives, the George Soroses, they know that, and they want that. Because if the capitalistic system crashes, they can put socialism in its place. And that's GameStop. I'm going to get there. Okay. Federal jobs guarantee. Everybody would have a job at a living wage. Now, what job would that be? Federal government's going to have to provide it. They can't even get you vaccinated. But they're going to get everybody a job at a living wage. That means there's going to be a bunch of people getting a check. Okay, already the progressives want $12,000 to, I guess, marginalized people, a year, $1,000 a month, just coming to you. No reason, you just get it. It's unbelievable. And this is socialism. That is what it is. So just understand when you're talking with your liberal friends, your progressive friends, that the end game here is to turn a capitalistic economy into a socialist economy, bankrupt the nation, and Biden is certainly on his way to do that. Bankrupt it, and then the government swoops in and tells everybody what they can and can't have and what they can and can't do. All right, let's get to the mail. Steve on the message board. How's that? I'm going to give Biden a chance working out for you, Bill. Hey, Steve, I'm way ahead of you. I already addressed that. I'm glad I gave the man a chance. All right? But he screwed up. Message of the day. Today. Read it, absorb it, live it. But I'm happy I gave him a chance. But he blew it. John, concierge member, access to me. Yes, you get free stuff onto socialism, but if these idiots did the research, they would find out you don't get very much. Is that what people really want? They don't know what they want. They want justice, social justice. Lisa, concierge member, communism, not socialism, is where the Biden agenda is heading. Guaranteed income, housing, health care, and on, and I come from having all of that in the Soviet Union. Lisa is an immigrant to the United States, legally. Let me tell you, people's souls were sold to the devil in Russia. There you go. Melvin, wow, did you ever present so much information? I have a full tablet of notes after last night's No Spin News. You're very smart, Melvin, for taking notes on this broadcast. We give a lot of stuff coming at you, important stuff. George Petroliak, Largo, Florida. Why is there virtually no information from the Capitol police officer who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt? I understand, not a peep from the left, but I'm not getting anything. The officer who shot Miss Babbitt, and we lament the loss of life there, will not be charged. Miss Babbitt was trying to break into the Capitol, and deadly force is allowed to be used. Laureen Fitzharris, Wake Forest, North Carolina. Though regarding the decline of viewer ratings, Fox News and other conservative news outlets, it seems this is due to the depressing state of the nation and the news agencies reporting on it. Look, all of the conservative channels are going down in the ratings, all of them, because there's no more Trump. But all of the liberal stations are going down faster because there's no more Trump. For 4 years, the president was the star of the show, and there is no more star. Bottom line, much of television news is boring. Scott Prazak, Woodruff, South Carolina. I used to watch Walter Cronkite every night. It was a pleasure. Now I watch the No Spin News, and it's equally a pleasure. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Let's see. Martin Blasick, Cortland, Ohio. It's okay to sound like a know-it-all, Bill, if you actually do know it all. I don't know it all. I know my limitations, but thank you. And Michael Vredro, Sunnyside, New York, thanks for the free copy of Killing Crazy Horse. Bill, Michael became a premium member or read up. Get a free copy of Killing Crazy Horse, an excellent book. Killing the Mob, coming out in early May. If you order that in advance, you get 50% off Killing Crazy Horse. Great deal. Or the United States of Trump. A concierge membership, check it out. I think you really, really like it. It's worth the little extra money. Word of the day when writing to us, not be a noddy, N-O-D-D-Y. Great word, nobody knows what it means. Do not be a noddy. Okay, back with a final thought on the Super Bowl interview with Joe Biden. Okay, so as you know, or may know, I have done a number of Super Bowl interviews in my career. We're going to have a little montage tomorrow of them, bring back some memories, and I hope Norah O'Donnell, the CBS newswoman, will watch that because she has a big opportunity to interview Joe Biden about a bunch of good stuff on Sunday. Not a puff interview. Mine were not puffs. They weren't puffs at all. So I hope CBS does what it should do in the Super Bowl interview with Joe Biden. We will see, and we'll have that special feature for you tomorrow.